Okay, so what I want to talk about in this video is I want to talk about empaths and I want to talk about why God uses certain people or whatever. Certain people who, hold on, guys. Hey, good morning. He uses certain people or whatever that a lot of people have seen who have had a past or whatever, and everyone kind of looked at that person. It's like that person ain't never gonna be nothing. One of the things or whatever when I got online for people who know me or whatever, or used to know me, and what I've heard or whatever is people were saying she ain't no earth angel or whatever, especially if you had like a little reputation or whatever, or people have known that you've lived a life of sin. In reality, I've always had a pure heart, and I've always been a earth angel or whatever, always. You can't just magically have a spiritual awakening and be an earth angel. You always have to have been one or whatever. You just didn't know. And that's why I said before, if I would have known that I was an earth angel or whatever, or why I've always felt awkward or didn't fit in and stuff like that, it's like a lot of the stuff that I went through, I wouldn't have even went through. I wouldn't have been around certain people. Then to a certain extent, I probably would have, because it's kind of like, to a certain extent, I probably would have still went through the same thing, because it's kind of like, how do you explain it? It's kind of like the situations that I went through or whatever, they kind of made me think the way that I think now. Now it's like, instead of being overly nice, well, not overly nice, overly giving and considerate or whatever of other people's feelings, it's kind of like I just treat people in a way that they treat me. Like the old me, it's kind of like, and it's not, like I said before, empaths are different. We're different from regular people, true empaths, not just people that's claiming that they are, but we're different from other people. We have a tendency to, I'm trying to think of how I can say it. Like if we see somebody that's real silly or whatever, and let's say we're in a relationship with them or a friendship, and we see they real silly or they're our family, we try to and they treat us in an ugly kind of way. We'll get mad because our empaths experience empath rage. We're like, how dare you? Blah, 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 blah. But the way our mind thinks, we're like, well, we'll ask or we'll want to know what they go through, what was their childhood like, and maybe this is why they are. Because for me, what I realized, a lot of people have been abused growing up or something like that. They either turn into empaths or they either turn into abusers. But abusers or whatever, like what I've learned after my last narcissistic experience and dealing with different people, a lot of people who are narcissists, they like to play off of the fact that empaths think like that. And it's hard to believe that people would actually do. That's one of the things that get empaths caught up in their mind. We sit up there and wonder, how do people know I'm internally a good person? I haven't really experienced that much love, but I'm a real good person, and I'm trying to understand this person and why they act like this and blah, 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 blah. But yet they still throwing shots, yet they still being disrespectful, yet they still doing this. I wonder what made them do this. Maybe I could show this person the way and change them. As you can see, for a long time, for a whole year with these gang stalkers, I'm preaching. Y'all know the answers. These niggas don't give a damn. They don't hear that type of stuff. It's like they think that's funny or whatever. Because it's like, the only way to explain it or whatever, from what I found out through this journey, is that people have demonic spirits in them or whatever. Because you got to think about the characteristic traits. An average person, even if they're not an empath, people will treat you respectfully if you treat them respectfully, and they just have a serious psychological problem that's like demonic or something like that, or just psychopath. But demons, they do fear the Most High because they have to listen to him, and they got kicked out of heaven. They all know they're going to hell. But when people have demons in them, they do stuff that's out of the ordinary. They don't care. They don't have no remorse. It's because it's not them. It's a demon inside of them. Because, like I said, you got to think about it. Demons, they all going to hell. They can't be forgiven. They can't come back to heaven. They don't care. So when people have a demonic spirit in them, they're going to do things that's like, F you. I don't care. I don't care if you were there for me. I don't care if you had my back. I don't care if you supported me. F you. And I'm not just talking about that narcissist situation. I'm talking about any type of situation or whatever. So one of the things about me or whatever is that I've learned or whatever is that you got to treat people accordingly. Like even when I went off on that guy or whatever the other day, the guy with that loud ass, ignorant ass laugh or whatever, and I went off and I was like, nigga, you ain't even the right size. So sometimes I have to drop down a notch or whatever, because like I said, sometimes I send off a airheaded vibe, and that's even in my birth chart. I'm not stupid. I'm highly, highly intelligent. spiritually intelligent, but it's just like I told you, I'm delayed at certain things or whatever, and I have an innocent nature to me, and it's like people, like when I be uploading them little songs, and you hear the little silly ass laugh or whatever from niggas who don't have nothing to do, but they just want to poke at you all day because they jealous and they don't have a life. But it's like, it's like, yeah, sometimes I have to, because I think people, they do stuff to me because they think they know me, but they don't know me. Even people who have been in relationships with me, they didn't really know me that well. They know the violent side of stuff. When I used to get mad, they used to do stuff to piss me off. But people don't really know me or whatever. Because if people really knew who I was or whatever, they wouldn't try me like that to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I have a nice side, but one thing that really enrages me is disrespect, especially if I know I wouldn't try a person a certain type of way. Because empaths are true chosen people of God. If we're angelic beings, when people do certain things that's related to like a demonic nature, we start looking at you like a demon and we'll treat you like one or whatever. So anyway, like I was saying, even that guy with that pop billy, when I went off and, nigga, you ain't even the right size, blah, 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 I saw his face or whatever. He wasn't really saying nothing back. But I saw his face, he kind of looked embarrassed a little bit. And the empath for me is kind of like, well, damn, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But then I'm like, nah, I thought to think about that. This nigga literally was in front of other niggas trying to clown me or whatever. He wasn't talking to me, but he was talking about me in front of a group of niggas. Talking about, you know what I'm saying? So he didn't give a damn. He don't give a damn every time he laugh and every time they do stuff. So why should I give a damn when I'm talking crazy to them or whatever, or reacting in a certain type of way back or whatever? But it's in my nature. That's why I said empaths are chosen people of God. We know God on a whole nother level because we think like him or whatever. So if you have no way are we in comparison to God. But true earth angels, empaths, we think like God. We move like him. We can get mad and angry just like in the Bible when it said Jesus flipping over them tables or whatever, when he saw them people clowning in the church. That's how I was the other day. I'm a child of God, and I get mad when I see all these fake people online misleading the masses. I'm sorry, Terry reading talking about they earth angels, and in a reading talking about I'm not an earth angel, but they in there hating and lying in their readings and talking about. That's why I said it's like, and to a certain extent, like I said, to a certain extent, it's certain readers that show their chests or whatever, but it's like, you have to think about it like this. If a person is slim, and they wearing something that's like tight, it's like you just use your common sense, and I know that too, because I used to dress in a certain type of way, but you that's excusable because they're small, and it's like it's not really, it doesn't look perverted or too sexual. But it's like people just doing readings, and like I said before, I don't really care unless it was directed at me, but I don't like people that's fake and they misrepresent God in the wrong type of way, because people who don't really know God, they want to know more about him. They're looking at me like, that's how God people act. No, that's not how God people act or whatever. That's why to a certain extent, people can think I'm rude or whatever, but that's why I try to explain. I'm very humble or whatever, and I've been humbled so much or whatever in a way where it's no way that I just think I'm better than anybody else. Even if only people who are kind of like silly and like to compete think that type of stuff, because there's nothing stuck up about me or whatever. I've been in different situations where, let me just see, there's Scorpio X or whatever. It's like, when you go out your way for a nigga who was staying in his mama house or whatever, excuse my language, I'm trying not to use the N-word, but I do when I'm describing ignorant people. But my aunt or whatever, who I don't talk to no more, put a down payment on his house. And I'm not harping on that. I'm just showing you different situations where I've been humbled. And he moved in there, got on, started acting like he was all that. I wasn't nothing. Remember, I was his friend for years, 5 years we was together before he moved in there. And just started putting on and treat me like I wasn't nothing, because it's like that kind of, it does something to you. And a lot of times or whatever, when you in that type of life and you dating a drug dealer and you know, in that type of life, it's like, it enraged me a certain way or whatever. It's like I used to get even more easily angered and violent, overly violent, to a way where if I didn't leave that situation, I would probably have been in prison or whatever. But it's like, one thing about certain people that really turns me off, I don't like people that do certain things and then they play the victim. That's a demonic trait, I told you, because Satan, he betrayed God or whatever, and then when he comes to his followers, he tries to make it seem like that God is just a horrible God. He kicked them off. Remember, we talking about the Most High, the all-forgiving or whatever, who not only forgives your sins when you repent, but he forgets or whatever. So, like I said before, whatever he did was so demonic and evil that he can't bounce back. That's how I feel about that narcissistic situation. Even with the using the magic and stuff like that, and them love spells. And they said, I don't know if it's him or the other ex. They said one of them is doing spells to try to stop my sex life. But they just, like I said before, when you wake up and realize what these niggas did or whatever, you realize that you're dealing with some demons or what. I don't care if people get their feelings hurt. I don't care about getting online exposing people. You did what you did, and not only that, people lie on you, they stalk you, they tell your personal business and stuff like that. But they'll never ever fully tell what they did, because they know if they fully tell what they did, they know how it's gonna make them look. So they gotta play the bad, they gotta play the good guy, they gotta make it seem like. But that's why I said, people who gang stalk and people who gang stalk, people who side with your enemies, people who, just I'm not even really going into details. You got to think about that. It's the, even though I don't respect my Scorpio ex or respect their narcissists, and I was enraged in the way that they did what they did and lied on me, it's no way that I would ever get, if I had a car or whatever, or gather up some friends and go. That should let you know what type of person or type of niggas that you're dealing with when people do stuff like that. Black, white, whatever. Anybody that, how can people talk about people and they gang stalk and they watch every move and they see what you're doing, they're going, that lets you know you're dealing with a bunch of demons or whatever, because that's not, I don't even understand why I would even have to explain it, and why people act like they don't understand that. You can't tell that that's demonic to sit up there and do that. And for a long time, you can't, it's like I'm trying to figure out every day, why these niggas doing it? Yeah, you know they watching you, but you like, why, what's going on? They're doing it because they're demons and they're devils, and there's no way even around it that I even try to figure it out. Maybe these niggas are stupid and they demons, and they will pay for that with their life. So we'll just say that. But another thing is, like, I saw this guy in the store the other day, and he was a Caucasian guy. He was with his friends. I was in the store, and he was in front of me in line, and it's like I could just look at him and tell that he was an empath, an earth angel or whatever. I won't go so far as saying an earth angel. I could just tell that he was an empath. And when you see an empath, you know them right away. They look very, very, and it's not vulnerable. They look kind of like, he just had a really angelic, like soft, gentle nature about him or whatever, that you could kind of tell if people were predators or something like that, or people were evil, they would take advantage of somebody like that and try to, I see he don't know it, he seemed like a real nice person, and so, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna see if I can get over on him. Instead of seeing people like that, and people like that are very rare, and try to cherish a person like that, people try to be manipulative and take advantage of them. But then you have to realize that it's not that person's fault. It's the person that's even thinking like that. It's a devil. And you have to realize that. So, to a certain extent, that ignorant guy online or whatever who said that thing about people see your weak ass or whatever, it's not that we're weak or whatever. It's just that we're good people. And ignorant, evil, demonic people or whatever who portray themselves as nice people try to take advantage of us. So we'll just say that or whatever. But one thing about me, I realize, and I wish that the world could be like this, I wish there could be a separation between people who are manipulative and evil and narcs, and people who are empaths or whatever. The world would be a better place. And one thing I realized too, when I said empaths are sensitive in nature empaths have a sensitive nature and they can feel the energy around them. When you're an empath and you start feeling a shaky, funny vibe around people, this is what I've known or whatever, and this is something I researched, and this is what I came to the conclusion about from how I feel. When we feel shaky and nervous around people, it's because people have a certain energy about them that doesn't match with ours. Like, for example, it's certain people that I've met, very few, and I'll come in contact with them and they're empath. And the minute I talk to them, just right away, they're just open and they just start talking. And it's like, wow. Now I see what people are saying. It's like I see what the demonic people are saying, but I don't agree with it. But it's like you see them and you're talking like, wow, they're so sweet. They so, you could just tell they have a gentle, truthful nature about them. And it was just like an easy flow. No nervousness. No, even with other people around, I didn't feel nervous and stuff like that. Whenever I'm around people who are kind of silly or snaky, or I feel like they might, it's just like a vibe or whatever. I can't really explain it, but I've had that my whole life. It's like, sometimes I'll be not blind to it, but I won't pay attention to it, or I'll feel it and I'll just deny the feelings. But your body, as an empath, your body reacts to people who are negative or whatever, or people that or can't be trusted around you, or they talk about you behind your back. I used to feel that feeling with that narc sometimes too, or whatever. I used to feel very uncomfortable or whatever. I used to feel kind of like just it's just like a weird vibe or whatever. When I used to get around him, like I feel like I couldn't really trust him, or I feel like he's gonna, and it's like a lot of stuff I found out that I'm just not comfortable with. But like I said before, that situation is over. I'm not harping on it. You just learn from it. But one thing I've kind of learned about like for example, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm kind of going back and forth with my words, but one thing about me when it comes to family and when it comes to people who have wronged you, or it comes to people who have, and I'm talking about really really wronged you and just acting like they haven't done nothing, they can do that on this physical earth and feel like they getting away with it or whatever. But when they stand before God, that's gonna be the scariest feeling in the world, because God is gonna sit them down and judge them and let them know, you did this, you did that, and He's gonna let them be able to clearly see what they did, and ain't gonna be no denying it. People can gaslight, they can act delusional, they can play the victim all their life, which I feel playing the victim is very demonic, like I said. But one day, it's like you're gonna have to stand before God and explain why you did that. So people can, like I said, people can act delusional. They can act like this, they can act like that. But one day you have to face judgment for what you did. One thing that really irritates me, or whatever, really enraged me, and it's like, at first I was just like, you just be sitting there and you can't believe it. But it's like I told you, when I hear certain things, I do believe certain things when they say certain people in my family are doing black magic on me or whatever, put you back in a certain position they don't like. Certain readers, it's a lot of readers, even readers I don't look at no more. One reader told me that my family is uncomfortable with my growth. They don't like the fact that I advanced and leveled up or whatever. And I realized when I separated myself from them, I got a lot more spiritually stronger or whatever, and a lot more, my life became a lot more peaceful and better or whatever, because I separated myself from certain toxic people. Several readers or whatever have told me, and like I said before, it's not just a lot of the readers or whatever that I went to have been good readers, and they give a lot of clarity. In general readings, or just in general, they giving a lot of clarity, even besides a little snarky comments or whatever. It's like that shows in their character, but besides the ones that lie and act silly or whatever, it gave me a lot of clarity or whatever. But like when it comes to my family, like when I hear certain things like your mother is doing magic on you and stuff like that, and then people who, because my mom has a very soft tone. I don't care if she get mad or whatever, it is what it is. I have no loyalty to her, she have no loyalty to me, and it is what it is. But when I hear certain things like that, like she's using black magic on me or my other aunt and stuff like that, it's like people in my family who know my aunt and know my mom, they're very people in my family, they don't believe it. My aunt has a reputation in the family for helping people, like giving money, blah 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 blah. And my mom is we've always had a crazy relationship, but she's very soft toned or whatever. She's very soft natured, soft spoken or whatever. But I know a different side of them or whatever than other people do. So anyway, like one of the things that I was told, and this was just what I was told, that my mom, she thinks I'm just so disrespectful, blah 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 blah. It is what it is. My thing is, and I've always been like this, and this is how most empaths are. We're very sweet, we're very kind, we have a pure heart, but we don't believe in giving respect to people who treat us a certain way. We don't believe in it. I don't care how old you are, unless you just see now and you crazy, you just talk out the side of your mouth. I don't care how old you are, I don't care who you are. If you say something that offends me, that I'd always say to you or do to you, I'm gonna check you on it. So with my mom or whatever, she's very how do I say the word? She was very neglectful, and kind of like didn't protect me as her child. And my dad was very abusive or whatever, so it's like I was outcasted on both families. And no, I'm not playing the victim and stuff like that, but I'm just telling you my journey. So when you come from a situation where, I'm taking my dad out of it for a second, because he's dead and gone, but I'm taking him out. I already told that story. But like with my mom, when you come from a situation where you were abused and stuff like that or molested, and they didn't protect you, they didn't take up for you, they said you lied, or they didn't believe you were a little child, it's like internally you can't, as a child, you can't process that. And kids go through stuff and they're kids, so they immediately, keep going through living with life. But as you get older, like in your teen years, you start acting out, especially if you experience trauma and extreme abuse from your father on this side. So automatically when you as a child and you go through something like that and your mom didn't to come to your aid, you kind of get the thought in your mind that, hey, I'm not important, I'm not worth taking up for, you don't feel love, so you kind of go up looking for love, so you become promiscuous and you get with the wrong type of people. Even though I've always been like different and I was raised different or whatever, and kind of like an artsy type of way. I'm not like the average black chick or whatever. It's like I still, it still affects from it. So when I went through like my troubled childhood years, it's like when you deal with something like that and you realize what happened to you growing up, it's like you don't really have a lot of respect for the person. It's like they tell you something, and it's kind of like internally, especially me, how I am. It's like in your mind, you gotta think, well, she thinks she's telling me this, and she couldn't even do this. It's like you still have it's like even if I don't always just think you did this, and I'm holding it above your head. It's like, especially if the person, it's not about everybody makes mistakes, because hurt people, abuse people, whatever, people over neglect their children or whatever. Not in every cases, but in most cases, it's not about I'm holding it over your head. And I explained it to her that it did happen when I was 16. You let it happen. It's more of a fact, kind of like what I feel like she should have came to me on her own and been like, you know what, we're gonna get you some help because I know this affected you, and I'm sorry for the part that I played in this. Like, nobody should have. My mom, whatever, the reason why we complete and I don't talk to her anymore is like she thinks in her mind, and this is what she likes to play out, that I mad at her because of what happened when I was 6 and she didn't take up for me. It's like I've done a lot of stuff in my life and that I pray God forgive me for it, and just being out there when it came to drugs and stuff like that, or just in general stuff that I did that wasn't pleasing to God, and He forgive me. So I'm not like that. It's the fact that as a woman, as a mother, you should have came. I felt that she should have came up to me and kind of been like, you know what, Maya, I'm gonna be there for you. Instead, she plays like little games and just keep on making it seem like to other people that I'm just holding that molestation thing over her head, and I don't like that or whatever. And so she knows, like I said, it especially how your kids have a tendency to keep repeating themselves, and most of the time they're never really understood. But I feel like, she understands it. She just act like she don't or whatever. But the last time I talked to my mom, like I said before, I told her, I said, Mom, I don't know what type of game you're playing. I just feel like she just try to pretend like she delusional and I'm the problem. But I said, I'm coming to you kind of like Antoine Fisher came in that movie to his mom. Was like, well, why weren't you there for me? Why did you do this? Why you do this? Because like when you deal with a situation like that, and people don't take up for you, it's like you look at a person like they have a weak nature or whatever. Because I'm like, a mother is supposed to protect, so it's like I have a distasteful type of not all the time when I'm around her or whatever. I just automatically have an attitude. I just kind of look at her as weak. It's like, you let men come in your life, and it's not just my dad that she did that with. She did that with her 2 other husbands and her current husband now. It's like you just a neglectful nature, kind of like, I'm gonna do what my husband said, blah 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 blah. And now I'm grown, and I kind of left in God's hands because I know she's gonna be punished for it or whatever. And we don't have to have a relationship. And I'm finally at the point where it doesn't hurt me, and I don't want a relationship. It's like she crossed me in another type of way to kind of like, we're just kind of like, she don't give a F, so I don't give a F now. Where in a way it's like I'm always going to look at you a certain type of way, and I don't want to hear anything anymore. Because after years of being unheard, I kind of just like being like, so when I hear the reads that your mom is doing magic on you, she doesn't, and this is different readers telling me that, talking about she don't like you because, your dad was this and this and that, and she looked at you and see your dad. It's like, I just be like, wow, but did she go to church every Sunday or whatever and talk about God and Jesus died on the cross? That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's people. I'm not gonna judge all Christians and stuff like that, even though that's not my religion. But that's why I see it. It's I don't even vibe with certain type of people, and all Christians not like that. But I just, you know what I'm saying? It does something to you. But it's like, okay, I'm just gonna let you hold on to that or whatever, and God will put it in your face and put you in your place on Judgment Day. And that's what I said. People gonna be real shocked to find out on Judgment Day how they're gonna be judged and what God think about them. So it's like, and people can say, your mom isn't doing magic on you. People who know my mom and think she real nice. You don't believe that a person like that would do magic, but you believe that a person would let their daughter or whatever just go through trauma and stuff. Like, it's certain things that I don't even want to get online and talk about. But it's like certain things she does. Just look at me every day online talking, and not say nothing. But you don't believe she won't do magic. Come on, man. Like I said before, when I first left that Norris situation, I lost my home behind it in my car, and I had to stay in a hotel or whatever by myself, and because I realized he was shit and he wasn't helping. He was being evil and demonic and wanted me to lose that and thought that was funny. It's like she didn't come in the hotel room and be like, are you okay? Or all I've ever wanted from my mom or whatever, and I don't want it anymore, I don't want her around me, was for her to kind of be like, you know what, I understand and I'm sorry you had to go through this. And okay, all I ever wanted was my mom to love me. Sorry, my camera stopped. But all I wanted was for her to love me and show me love and hold me and be like, I'm there for you. So it's like when I didn't get that, after years of constantly pleading my case, and I finally wake up to the situation, got my full spiritual awakening, and I realized what happened, and God spoke to me or whatever and told me He's gonna deal with it. It's kind of like I don't want it anymore. That's how I've always been or whatever. All my life I haven't had to repeat myself, constantly plead my case, and then finally I just won't give a fuck anymore after a long while, like the narcissist situation. It's like once an empath stops caring about you, once we really don't give a fuck, once we, excuse my language, once we label you and how we see you when we place our final judgment on you, you can't come back around us or whatever. It's like you don't want those type of people around you, because it's like the love that I had, it withered away and it died or whatever, to the point where I looked at you like you didn't give a damn about me. You saw me struggling, you saw what I was going through, and you didn't have my back, and you should have had my back. Now I don't give a fuck about what you're going through. I don't want to hear it. I'm not going to funerals. I don't care who says what about me or and I'm not saying the person gonna die or whatever, but I'm just saying I don't, if it ever is to happen or whatever, ain't nobody gonna make me feel bad and be like, that's your mother, blah, blah, because people don't know the story. They just know what they hear or whatever. God knows the truth or whatever, so that's all that matters. They know the truth, I know the truth, and God knows the truth. So we just said it. But like with my aunt or whatever, and the way my aunt is or whatever, like I said, she's been there for me a lot. And Terry really said, somebody said, your aunt, she'll do for you, but she really won't do for you. There's a lot of stuff that was said about me behind my back. Not just stuff I've heard personally that she said through readings, but my parents said stuff a lot. They'll try to label and be like, buy it this, buy it that, buy it that. And there's certain situations that I can read out or whatever, and it's another maternal figure that I have in my life or whatever. I don't want to be too specific, but not the one that I have, but another maternal figure. And she or whatever, we had like little personal conversations or whatever, and she went back and repeated some of the stuff that we talked about, and I know she did it. So that's why I was explaining to one of my relatives a while back. It was no loyalty there. So I went back and repeated some stuff she said, not to just be ugly, but just repeat it, because she had no loyalty to me, because she went back and repeated some things that I said. But it's like when I did it, because I was the last one in my family to get it together, people all gathered up and just made it seem like I'm this horrible person and my this, she's not, all this other stuff. When a lot of these niggas or whatever talked about me, even before they showed their true self, a lot of these niggas talked about me. A lot of my cousins talked about me with their friends. Let their friends talk about me or whatever. Remember, their friends, not mine. A lot of family members, like I said before, have said a lot of stuff about me, stuff that I've told, they've repeated or whatever, but they wanted to blame me because I'm the one in the family. Everybody kind of like wanted to blame and abuse because they thought I wasn't gonna do shit. But it's like, and readers have explained this to me. When you distance yourself from toxic people, negativity, people who cause you to doubt yourself, people that cause you to be negative, people that cause you to think negative, what happens is that you level up or whatever, and you it's like you level up and you have peace. That's why I said people who get jealous of me because I live a peaceful life, or I don't have any drama or chaos around me, or kids, or they think I don't have responsibilities, which I do. It's like those people, I look at them I look at them as demons, especially people who don't know me, because you don't know my story. I'm sorry, especially people who know me, because the people who don't know me, they can judge all day. They hear my story and they probably just think it's like little petty, girly, teenage stuff that I'm complaining about or whatever. They don't know my journey. They don't know what the fuck I've been through. My whole life has been a lot of chaos and drama or whatever, and abuse and turmoil and stuff like this. So you don't know my journey. You don't know my story. People who know me and envy that and see my level up, see my platform, see me online, see me getting gang stalked, and don't want to say shit, don't want to say nothing. When I did have my car in my first place before this one, they don't want to say nothing, congratulations, they want to turn their nose up and bring up what you used to be and what you used to do. Those people are demons or whatever, because it's like, that's what I'm saying. People who do this, people who do stuff like this, think about your life. What is going on in your relationship? Are you happy? What's going on in your friendship, your personal friendships? How are your kids doing? Are they behaving good in school? What is your life like? What is your connection with God? And most of the time when if they sit and think about that, they'll realize that internally you're not happy, because that's how people are. That's how I used to be. Well, how I used to be when I wasn't happy. It's like I used to pick and poke and stuff. That's why I never was like, I never hated on nobody because they were happy and living a good life. See somebody and envy them, because this is not in my nature. But just when you have a big mouth and you gossiping, or you looking at this, talking about the latest rumors or doing this, it's like it's like you're not happy or whatever. Because when you really truly happy, you mind your own business or whatever. You don't care about what another person is doing. When you're truly happy and confident in yourself and God is with you, you can congratulate somebody and tell them they doing their thing. You can support somebody. It's like only people that are just internally miserable and not really happy within themselves and don't have the light of God, are not connected to God, they think and act like this. So yeah, it is what it is. Like I said, sometimes I try to make these videos a little bit longer, whatever, so people can kind of like not just understand me better, but they can relate. When I get online, I'm not just talking about myself. It's my diary, but other empaths who are going through this, they can kind of relate. So I try to let people know that you're not alone in the world and the way you think or what you're going through. So anybody looking at this talking about, she talking about her problems and stuff like that, I'm not. This is a platform, and I put other stuff on my Facebook page related to empaths. How they, hold on, related to empath. Hold on, it's Buzz. Related to empaths on how they think or whatever. I put stuff up so people can know who they are. You can read it, you can study, because I was told through several readings or whatever, you was an earth angel. Or first it was one reader that told me, then I was like, and I just couldn't believe it, and I just started looking up different things or whatever, and I was like, why am I an earth angel? And I just started, another reader told me to study your birth chart, and I looked and I started looking at the different characteristic traits. That's why I act like that. Or I just went, and it's another relationship counselor online that started saying, the more you know yourself, the more, hold on. She was saying the more you know yourself, the more you are able to the more you know the more you know yourself, the more confident you are. So we'll just say that. But I'm in this video because this announcement keeps coming on.